I kind of got to the stage thinking, this is good, but is this going to be the rest of my life forever? And then I decided, no, it's not. I had my dad in my ear saying, like, think about your pension, stay in the army. I had my sister in the other ear saying, listen, you got to live life, make the decisions that's best for you. In the end, I was like, you're right, I do have to live life. Let's leave, let's travel. I've invested in so many random things here and there, but I've never really invested in myself. I weighed 76 kilos at that point in my life, super skinny. If you want to succeed and thrive in life, then that's when discipline comes in, because that's when it gets tough. Loads of people quit.
What is one thing that can get somebody to become a high performer?
I think...
In this episode, Stewart Legg shares with us his many adventures around the world. From growing up in Spain, to living in Vietnam, going to Australia to South America to New Zealand back to Spain, and then to lastly here in Dubai. It's like Stewart lived many lives in this one life. But one thing we see constant is his passion and drive for constantly leveling up. All right, before we kick off this episode, if you can do me the small favor and hit the subscribe button, I'll truly appreciate it, and it'll help me bring you more and more high performance to this show. This is the High Performance Mindset, and today's guest is Stewart Legg. Enjoy this episode. Stewart, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You've lived in so many countries and lived many lives. I'd say I probably would need three of me to live. But where did you grow up?
So I was born in England. I moved to Spain when I was 7. My family still lived there. Okay. I then moved back to the UK when I was 16. So my majority of my schooling was done in Spain, and I still consider that as home.
And when you were... As a kid, what was your passion?
Football.
Yeah.
And getting in trouble, unfortunately.
What do you mean? Like,
just silly stuff. Always just yeah. I was always the loud one in school. I was always the one that wanted to play football and not sit still. And yeah, I was that kid.
And then, in football, did you used to stand out?
Not particularly, to be honest. No.
Won any competitions?
Yeah, I did a few little competitions, but no, I didn't really stand out in football, to be honest. I kind of stood out a little bit more later in life when I started getting into boxing and Muay Thai. That was something I became quite good at.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it really. And in the respect of sports, when growing up, it was just football. I'm a massive Southampton fan, unfortunately. So yeah, there.
Do you feel like as a kid or as a teenager, you felt like you had any inclination, any advantages in any area?
Definitely not education, definitely not academic. I was always super hyper, just always wanted to run, play football, everything.
Active, yeah.
Exactly. I really struggled with the whole sitting down for 8 hours a day at school. It was tough. So yeah, I think finding myself in this line of work has kind of come maybe subconsciously since I was a kid playing football and always being out and about, running around. So yeah, that was actually part of the reason that when I was 16, I joined the army. I was in the army for 5.5 years.
You always knew that you wanted to be in the army, or how did that happen?
Yeah, it was kind of a mixture of my dad he was never in the military himself or anything like that, but he kind of put across the idea. I have a family member who is my stepsister's husband, who's in the police, and he was very much like, yeah, the army, try it, it'd be good. And there were 2 people at the time that were very influential and still are very influential to me. I really have a lot of respect for both of them. So, yeah, they kind of played a big role in it. And next thing you know, I was stood there in my combat gear.
You remember your first month?
Yeah, I remember most of my first month. So I joined when I was 16. So you go in as to an army foundation college, essentially, because obviously you're underage. But yeah, there was a lot of cleaning the floor with toothbrushes and all that sort of stuff you see in the films. And I don't really know what you learn from that, but they make you do it. And yeah, just getting into a better physical state.
You remember your thoughts during that first month?
I was pretty motivated throughout. I was never like, I'm going to quit. I'm going to not do this. It kind of helped that they were paying me as well. So I was like, oh, great. It's the first paid job that I properly ever had. So, I was kind of like, right, I need to stick this out because my friends in Spain were, not really doing so much at the time. And I was like, right, at least I'm kind of earning some money, and this way I can, start to build a life in the army. So yeah, I ended up staying in for 5.5 years. At one point I thought I was never going to leave. I really, really fell in love with it. And then I kind of got to the stage thinking, this is good, but is this going to be the rest of my life forever? And then I decided, no, it's not. So I decided to resign from the army, which takes a year. And then, yes, I planned to travel the world. And next thing I knew, me and my best friend who actually lives in Dubai and played a massive role in me moving to Dubai, me and him packed our bags and we flew to Bangkok. So that was kind of how that came about.
All right. So like they always say, like, being in the army is a very transformative experience.
Yes.
From your side, you feel it was transformative for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's some things that I took out of there that I still apply on day-to-day things now. Discipline, punctuality, just trying to be on time for most things. Common courtesy, things like that, generally speaking. I think a lot of that kind of comes from the army, yeah.
In the army, how do they build discipline or help you to become a disciplined person?
Just from essentially punishment, if you're late or something, then you'd lose your weekend or something like that, or they'd make you, do sprints or something like that. But then kind of as you got older and got out of training, it was more of like, okay, if you mess up in the army, they just take your weekend off of you. So the whole thing you've been looking forward to, they can just take away, which is actually one of the things that I didn't love about the army. And I'm quite happy to not have that element in my life anymore, how kind of they control everything and you control very little.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that would be one of the things that how they would discipline, that's kind of how they enforce that.
And in your view, how important is having discipline?
I mean, discipline's imperative. I think it's so important in every aspect in life, whether it's training, whether it's even as far as friendships, relationships, things like that. It really is. It really is important, especially having the mindset of not giving up. When things get tough, life isn't always easy, as we both know. But if we'd have turned around and said, I'm not going to do that, it's too much hard work. It doesn't really. Yeah, it doesn't really get you anywhere. If you just want to stay in the same place and unfortunately not really earn too much money and just go told what to do, then yeah, it's okay because you can kind of just go to work, get told what to do and go home. But if you want to succeed and thrive in life, then that's when discipline comes in, right? Because that's when it gets tough.
When you entered like the army, did you have like, I want to be the best? Or
did I have that sort of mindset? And to be honest, probably not so much when I first joined. It was more when I actually got in there and started, competing and thinking, hang on a minute, I'm doing okay. Because, they have quite a competitive element in the respective of, okay, let's do 1.5 miles, but it's best effort. So, if you want to win essentially, or you want to come, if not win, you want to come very, very close to winning. So I always made sure I was in kind of the fitter group. And then, for some reason, I ended up winning like the best soldier when I was in training, which was quite an accomplishment. That was a mixture of fitness as well as, just kind of general soldiering and, just kind of like exercises on the field. So a lot of sleeping outside in the cold and the rain and how you can perform and all that sort of stuff, which also I don't really miss, to be honest. But it was good, and that's kind of how I ended up winning the best soldier award. And
what were the areas like you struggled with and then you had to push through to achieve it?
Just the idea of sleeping outside in the cold. At first I come from Spain, everything was good, life was good. I had a little moped, like I was always like, oh great, amazing. And then it was like, boom, reality check, from living the life in the south of Spain to cooling around in the mud. So yeah, that was one of the times I was like, right, I'm actually gonna have to kind of focus here and kind of buckle down and be disciplined. So that's one of the times that was kind of.
Do you remember like your thoughts like when you first
my thoughts, to be honest, was I never thought once I'm going to give up, I'm going to quit. My actual train of thoughts would have just been like, let's stay with this, let's make it work. I was just turning 16 at the time, so it was around about the time that I was like, okay, I need to kind of get my life together.
I'm sure you saw some that quit.
Yeah, loads of people quit, and then especially in training, you know, they're all like, because as I said, everyone's sort of 16 in the foundation college, so a lot of people are just like, and they could just resign and go home, and it was easy because they're underage. When you turn 18 to resign, it's a bit different because you're then obviously an adult, right? So you actually have to give a year's notice. But in training, if you're underage, you can just kind of resign there and then. But no, I never did that, and it never crossed my mind to. I kind of like the fact that I was away from my parents, that I was working, I was doing something. Yeah, exactly. Kind of growing up, it was about time, you know. As I said, all my school years and stuff like that, I was never the most well-behaved child and things like that. So it was good to kind of step out away from that and kind of make something for myself.
Yes, I have an opportunity to prove yourself right.
Yes, exactly. You know? And I couldn't imagine the embarrassment of going back to my family and being like, I failed, and like, I left because it was too hard. You know, I couldn't have done that. It was never an option.
And I'm sure also there were other strong minds around.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so when you're in training, you have all the corporals that are above you, essentially, that, they kind of show you the way and you look up to them, and whatever you do, have that element of respect for them, no doubt. And then, after I completed training in regiment, I really was enjoying it, and I didn't plan to leave. Then I went to Afghanistan in 2013 on my 20th birthday, actually, the 9th of April. So I didn't even tell anyone it was my birthday, actually. I was just like, do you know what, let's just go. And then eventually when we got to the airport to depart, I said to, a couple of my friends, like, it's my birthday today. And I was like, oh my God, like, how have you not said anything? And I was like, well, what's the point with flying to Afghanistan? What are we going to do? It's not like we can, celebrate too much. So, I went to Afghanistan. That was an eye-opener. It was so it was 7 months in total, but I had a 2-week break, but not until after 5.5 months of being there. So, it was just a lot of training, just good food, just heavy weights, just really getting into shape. And that was when actually I first found my passion for working in or going to the gym and stuff like that. That's when I first was like, right, this is great. I can see myself doing this. The other elements, obviously, when I was in Afghanistan, was I worked in quick reaction force. So if there was an incident outside, obviously I'd go and kind of be the first on scene, sort of thing. Luckily, I went towards the end of Afghanistan, so it kind of calmed down a little bit. But no, at first I was kind of like, am I going to enjoy it? But then the time honestly flew by. Great camaraderie, had a great group of lads. Just got into great shape for my age at the time. I was 20. And then came back from Afghanistan, thinking I was never going to leave the army. And then boom, reality hit, back to being in the rain, back to being in the mud, back to not getting weekends. And I was just like, do you know what? I was lucky enough that I was disciplined to save up a little bit of money in Afghanistan, and I was like, I'm gonna go and see the world, because if not, I'll get to the age of 30, 40, whatever, end up with wife, kids, and kind of look back and be like, well, the army was my life or whatever, but I didn't really want to stay like that. So that's kind of the reason why I made that decision to, right, let's leave, let's travel, and and that was that.
Yeah, because I also have a friend here who was in the army, and to get out of the army and then get another job is not easy.
Really, he struggled with it. Yeah. I'm sorry to hear
that. But when you were about to leave, you already knew what you wanted to do next, or?
No, I had no idea. So actually, when I was looking at leaving, at first I was looking at a job in London, pretty much being like a debt collector. And actually, my mum and my sister said to me, like, listen, you're not going to be taking, it's going to be horrendous. It's not that you're just going around and taking belongings from people. Like, you're taking belongings from people that, it's not that they don't want to pay, they can't afford to pay. You're taking it from families, and it kind of was a bit of reality check. I was quite naive. I was 20. I just saw that the wage in London was quite good, and I was like, I could do that for a year or two. And then they kind of said their input, and I was like, do you know what, good point. And around about that time, my best friend that lives over here was like, right, what's your plans? Like, what we're doing? And I was like, should we just travel? You know, we kept seeing pictures of people doing this, that, and the other. My elder sister lived in New Zealand, I believe, at the time. She'd already traveled South America, New Zealand, Australia, and I always kind of looked up to my big sister as well. So I was like, right. So I had my dad in my ear saying, like, think about your pension, stay in the army. I had my sister in the other ear saying, listen, you got to live life, make the decisions that's best for you. And in the end, I was like, you're right, I do have to live life. And that was it. Just left the army in June, had the summer in Spain, just did a bit of basic construction with my dad. And then when October came, this is now 2015, that was it, time to go. Flew to Bangkok. I was in Bangkok just for a couple of days, then went to Vietnam, then Laos, and just kind of bounced around a little bit. Did all the traveling through. It's quite a typical route, actually, to be honest, that Southeast Asia route. I don't know if you've been there yourself, but it is quite a common route. So yeah, just kind of bounced around there for a little bit, and then flew to Australia, which is the next chapter, but we'll dive into that in a minute. Yeah.
But in Vietnam, you worked as a teacher.
I did. On Vietnam part 2, I worked as a teacher. So yeah, I'll tell you how that came about. So as I said, we were in Vietnam, my friend and I, Jamie, and we were kind of traveling around. We were there.
So wait. If that's part 2,
yeah,
then let's not skip
to part 1.
Let's go back.
Yeah.
So after that, you went to what? To Australia?
Yes, exactly. So part 1, you know, we were there for, I think it was 6 weeks, and we just did all the touristy stuff, full moon party, rent motorbikes in Vietnam, all that great fun stuff. And then, yes, moved to Australia, moved to Melbourne. And actually, I don't know if you've ever had the privilege of going to Melbourne, but it's
been to Australia, no.
Yeah, no, it's a really nice city. It's one of the places that I could see outside of Dubai that I could see myself moving to and settling down. It's just obviously again going another step away from family, but but yeah. So I was just there for 4 months, worked in a bar. This was my first proper job after leaving the army. You know, that obviously wasn't working in construction with my dad, so worked in a bar right in the middle of town, like it was my first bar job. And to be honest, I loved it. I was just like, I just felt so free. Had lived in in a townhouse, had some great housemates. So yeah, I was there for 4 months, and then this friend Jamie and I, we decided to do a camper van relocation through the East Coast. Which was interesting. You know, we kind of underestimated how big Australia is. It took us about 6 days to get from kind of the south to the north. But that was a great adventure.
Like, your intention is to move there, or
just we just moved. Yeah, we just thought, you know what?
And how do you just move? Do you do it by saving?
Yeah, exactly. So when we're in,
so is it a constant process that you have? You're constantly saving for the next move?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so I always had like a small amount still saved from the army that I tried not to touch. But when I got to Melbourne and I was working, the hourly wage is pretty good in Australia, to be honest. So, you know, I was kind of like saving. And also so was my friend, and then we were like, right, okay, let's go to the northern area. And we ended up in a place called Early Beach, which is amazing. It's very close to the Whitsundays, which I don't know if you've heard of, but the beaches are insane. Yes. So we stayed there for 4 months, and that was a good laugh. And then we were out one night and came in, and next thing I knew, so we went to bed, whatever, woke up in the morning, and my friend Jamie was like, "Oh, lad, do you remember we booked flights to Vietnam last night?" I was like, nah, I completely forgot, to be honest. And then, so we booked it in a week from then, and we were like, right, do we go? Do we not go? And we were like, yeah, let's go. Why not? So
wait, when you move, what do you carry with you?
I just had a backpack. Yeah, I had very little belongings, backpack. I'd say half a pair of shoes and a pair of flip-flops. Yeah, we didn't have much between us at that point.
Which is this? This is you. You learned that from being in the army to be very minimalist.
I mean, I guess so. I think you know, when you're doing this backpacker route, you don't take. I never really had nice clothes anyway, but you don't take particularly
just essentials.
Yeah, that's it. Just like t-shirt, shorts, boxers, whatever. Like you don't need much. Yeah. And then the next thing you knew, it was the week had gone and it was time to fly to Vietnam. So we fly to Vietnam, which was an interesting trip. And then on the last day, we were leaving to go back to Australia. We'd been there for about 5 days, I think it was. And I was walking down the street, and we're kind of just like, oh, yeah, nice, just looking around. And some old Australian guy comes up to me. I'm going to try and do an Australian accent right now. I'm not too sure how it's going to go. Yeah, g'day, mate. You want to be a school teacher in Vietnam? I was like, you what? He's like, do you want to be a school teacher? I was like, yeah, actually, like, why not? I've actually thought about this a little bit in the past. I think it'd be great. And then I said to him, but just to let you know, I got an F in my GCSE in English. And he was like, oh, okay, well, listen, don't worry about that because we can just essentially Photoshop your teaching qualifications. I was like, that sounds like Vietnam. So I was like, right, let's do it. And then, yeah, sure enough, the day came. My mate Jamie flew back to Australia. I stayed in Vietnam. I was there for 3 months teaching English. One of the most enjoyable jobs I've ever had. It was amazing. Just they're very different. The children over there, where schooling's still relatively new to them. We're talking, I don't know, 50 years, 30 years or so. They're not like kids in the UK where, you know, they're kind of always quite disrespectful to the teachers and things like that. You know, they're super happy that they have teachers. Yeah. So yeah, they were great. The kids that I worked with, I had mixed ages. My favorite age was between 13 and 15, which you'd think would probably be the worst age, but actually really, really good. I taught some adults as well. They were like very nice guys, and yeah, it was amazing. I really, really enjoyed that. And just the whole jumping on your motorbike, drive to work in Vietnam, just pull over, eat Vietnamese food for about $1, and then carry on. And yeah, it was a great time. I was really happy at that point in my life.
What do you think your best part of joyful part of teaching?
I think actually my favorite part of teaching was the children, generally speaking. They would make my day. You know, I'd go in there, I'd obviously teach them a little bit of English and then make them play games. So I'd split them into either boys or girls, or left side of the classroom against right side, whatever. I'd give them like a little sticky ball, and then I would write a couple of like, say, colours, for example. So I'd write like blue, green, red, and then I'd make them line up, and it would be like a competition. So I'd be like, okay, what colour is the sun? And they'd be like, and they have to throw the sticky ball at the colour. And that, yeah, they just loved it. Like easy games like that. Yeah, they really enjoyed it. That was my favourite part of teaching, probably. Yeah, I used to always come out smiling and be like, oh, you know what, it's not a bad day's work to come out feeling good about yourself.
Amazing. And then what other countries did you go to after that?
So after that, I already had flights booked to Fiji from Australia from before, like a couple of months before that. So I knew at some point I was going to end up going to Fiji from Australia. So I was there working away. Vietnam, things were great. Again, saved up not too much money, but a little bit of money. And
you had a reason why you picked Fiji, or?
I mean, why not? At the point, it was close to me because I was in Australia. But when I went to Vietnam, it was not so close. So anyway, yeah. So I was in Vietnam, and then a friend from the army messaged me like, "Hey, so like, what's your plans? What you up to?" And I was like, "Well, as you know, I'm here in Vietnam." He's like, "Great, I've just left the army. I'll come and meet you in Vietnam." I was like, "Cool, let's do it." So my friend from the army came and met me in Vietnam. I travelled again Vietnam now for the second time from south to north. And that took about a month. And then from there, him and I flew to the Philippines. So we were in the Philippines, I think, for about 3 weeks. And then I went to Australia, which I already had my connection flight to Fiji. My friend from the army was like, yeah, I'll come with you as well. Met my friend Jamie, who left me in Vietnam. Yeah. So then we were in Fiji for 3 weeks. I think this is now December time, 2016. And then from there, we flew to New Zealand for our work and holiday visa, and left my friend from the army, Nathan, his name is. He flew to Australia. He still lives in Australia now, got residency and all that sort of stuff. And Jamie and me went to New Zealand. And then my sister was there at that point. My dad had come over on holiday. So, you know, it was a really good time to see my family. I hadn't seen my dad for, I don't know, 2 years or so. So it was great to see that. Yeah, I hadn't seen my sister for about 2 years as well. So yeah, no, we had a great Christmas together. And then my dad went back to Spain, and that was it. The start of my New Zealand era commenced, essentially. So I lived in Auckland for about 6 months. And to be honest, Auckland was probably the least favourite of the places that I lived when I was travelling. It's just that my sister was there. Jamie had a good job. I had a pretty good job. We were quite happy. You know, we were confident.
What didn't you like about it?
A few things, to be honest. It was like living in the UK. It was very similar. It rained a lot. There's not much happening in New Zealand, and sometimes that's a blessing as well, because, you know, in the Southern Islands where it's a bit more rural, it's really beautiful. But in Auckland, the city centre, it's not wow. It's not, unfortunately. Some of the surrounding areas are amazing in New Zealand, but yeah, no, we kind of just got to the stage where we were like, right, we were there for 6 months in total, and I think my friend Jamie booked flights to go back home to see his family, and at that point I was like, right, I'm going to move to Queenstown. If you don't know what Queenstown is, it's an amazing place. It's so beautiful. It's like the place where you can go skiing and stuff like that in New Zealand. But also in summer, it's by the lake, some amazing restaurants, good bar areas, loads of things to do, loads of outdoor activities, hiking. So I was like, right, okay, cool, I'm going to make this decision. Boom, made the decision, moved to Queenstown. So that begins the era of Queenstown. I was there for a year and a half. And I had some of the best friends, still to this day, some of my best friends are not from there, but that I met there. Just backtracking a little bit here. When we travelled for the first time in Vietnam, or when we actually got to a place called Laos, we met a guy called Tommy. Then when he went back to England and me and Jamie went to Australia, when we went back to Vietnam, I told him about me getting a teacher's job and he flew over. And then after I left Vietnam and moved to New Zealand, because I was good friends with her, I said to Jamie, like, listen, I'll pay for his flights if you pay for his visa. So then we talked him into leaving Vietnam where he's teaching and coming over to New Zealand. And then he's still there now. So yeah, it's really been like a bizarre journey, to be honest. So hopefully I'll see these guys again soon, because I haven't seen them for like 4 years, to be honest. But then we all lived in Queenstown. Life was great. And then
what were you doing then?
I was in construction at this point in my life.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually just this morning when I was getting out of bed, I was like, oh my God, so I can't really be bothered going to work. And I was like, do you know what? This is not as bad as it used to be when you used to wake up freezing cold going to work in construction in New Zealand. So I was like, right, it gives me that little push. But I did love living in Queenstown. Honestly, it's so beautiful. If you ever get the chance, definitely check it out. I was there for 18 months, and then my visa was coming to an end in New Zealand, so I had to leave, or I had the option to try and push for residency. And I was like, you know what, it's time for me to go. So I was like, right, next stop.
So this was, how long were you in Queenstown?
In Queenstown, I was there for 18 months.
Yeah, that's like probably the longest.
The longest by far, yeah. It was the longest by far. And as I said, I really fell in love with it. And I plan to go back at some point, not to live again, but just to visit. I've still got so many friends there that I said a lot of them pushed for residency and have got it, which is great for them. But I knew that I wasn't done with my traveling bug that I had. So me and my friend Jamie had pretty much, apart from Vietnam, we'd pretty much been together the whole time. But then he got headhunted and offered a job in Dubai. So he essentially took the job in Dubai and started working in, do you know LSB, Lock, Stock and Barrel?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he got the job there as a bar manager. Again, we're talking now 5-6 years ago. So he left me in New Zealand and I was like, okay, no worries. Like, I'm going to go to South America. So I just left everyone and went to South America by myself. I was like, right, great. This is the next part of my adventure. So yeah, I traveled around South America for a little while until I got to Peru, a place called Cusco. Very beautiful, very close to Machu Picchu, which I'm sure you know is one of the 7 wonders of the world. So I was there and I was in a hostel and ended up getting chatting to the bar staff there and whatever. And they're like, why didn't you volunteer here, free accommodation? And I was like, well, you know what, I've got no time frame, so why not? So I got the job, started off as a volunteer. Just living a bit of a fun, wild lifestyle. And then I became quite friendly with the general manager there, and he was like, "Oh, mate, do you want to become the events manager here?" And I was like, yeah, like why not? And I met this guy called Jack, good friend of mine, who actually now lives in Dubai, but I'll touch on that a little bit more in a minute. So me and him, we're working there together. You know, we really developed a good friendship in such a short period of time. I think I was there for about 2 months or so, working as the event manager in this hostel with Jack. He was also the event manager. And then, you know, we kind of said like, right, this job isn't forever. You know, we had a great time, but, you know, we spent a lot of time just kind of partying and whatever. It's like, right, okay, let's get ourselves back together. So one of my friends came over that I'd met in New Zealand, and me and him then decided to travel together pretty much up until the north of Colombia. So that my whole trip in South America took about 7 months, and about 3 or 4 of them I was in Peru, 3-ish working, and then 1 month kind of traveling as well.
Any highlights from your South American?
Yeah, do you know what? Just I always said, right, whilst I'm there, let's do some hitchhiking and stuff, you know. And everyone's kind of like, oh, you know, hitchhiking in South America is very dangerous. And I was like, do you know what? It is, and this probably isn't very smart of me, but you know, it's something that's kind of on the list. So like, right, let's do it. And then when I was in Paraguay, I hitchhiked from Paraguay to Argentina, and it was like 150 kilometers long. So yeah, just. Stood there with my thumb out. Some truck driver guy pulled over. I was like, "Yeah, how's it going?" I was like, "This is kind of." Luckily, I speak fluent Spanish, obviously from being brought up in Spain.
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Yeah, this is kind of roughly where I need to go." He's like, "Okay, I can drop you near the bus station nearby." I was like, "Right, great." 152 kilometers later, I jumped out, or 150 kilometers or so later, jumped out. I was with a Colombian guy that I'd met at the time, and also a German guy, and we were just kind of traveling around a little bit together. We obviously then split ways, and I ended up going up into Peru, and that's where I started working.
Okay.
Machu Picchu is unbelievable. That would be one of the highlights. I don't know if you've ever got the chance to, but if not, and you know,
not yet.
No, it's something that I would definitely recommend. It's such a beautiful area. I actually plan to go back probably next year or so, just with the fiance now. Actually. Yeah, so that's something that we've been talking about going back, and you know, I'd definitely go back again because it is such a great trip. South America is such good value for money and stuff like that. And then yeah, so my time kind of came to an end when I was in Colombia. A friend of mine was getting married in the UK. It was also time for me to leave South America. You know, I'd had a great time, but I needed to be like, right, I was 26, I believe, 25, 26 at the time.
So how long were you in South America?
7 months in total, yeah. 7 months from Buenos Aires up to, I left from Bogota in Colombia, and everything in between, 7 months. And then back to the UK for the wedding for 2-3 days, then back to Spain. And that was where I was like, right, let's become a personal trainer. I'd already done Muay Thai and stuff like this. I kind of missed that bit. But when I was in New Zealand, I was doing a lot of Muay Thai, boxing, stuff like that. So
when you were in New Zealand, were you also coaching in
No, not at that point. I was very much in my beginning stage of Muay Thai at that point. Okay. Yeah, I did compete over there.
What got you to decide to do Muay Thai?
So I started boxing a bit in the army.
Okay.
And then when I got to New Zealand, because I was in Queenstown for such a long time, you know, you kind of develop a bit of a routine, right? Yeah, you have to. So I was like, right, okay, I haven't been in the gym for a while, let's say 2 years, because, you know, I've kind of been really inconsistent and going traveling and whatever. So I was like, right, great. Let's do it. So I went in, found a good gym, who actually now are an amazing gym. They've really upped their facilities, and they've got belt holders of New Zealand. At the time, they didn't have this so much. So yeah, I turned up. I was like, right, okay. The gym's called Industrial Fitness. I think it's actually changed the name now to Fight Science, but either way, I turned up and I was like, right, I want to join in boxing because I boxed a bit in the army and I loved it, whatever. They're like, okay, great, this is the timetable. I was like, all right, absolutely none of that works for me because I'm at work. I was like, okay, so what's on afterwards? They're like, Muay Thai starts at 6:30 or whatever the time was. I was like, okay, that one I can make. And that was it. That's how I kind of made the transition into Muay Thai. Straight away, I met the coach there, absolute legend. He's still there coaching now. He's the manager / head coach / whatever. So yeah, became good terms with him. He was like, great, like, do you want to how serious do you want to take this Muay Thai? I was like, pretty serious, yeah, like, let's go kind of thing. So I spent a lot of time with him and some of the slightly kind of more advanced people. They took their time to help me through the ropes and get better and better and better. And then finally competed, which was fantastic, a great experience. Had to go to Christchurch for it, so it was about a 5-hour drive. But I had quite a big fan base that came with me, so I was really lucky to have that actually. And then that was kind of how my Muay Thai career kind of started.
You remember your first days?
Yeah, I remember. I do remember. I remember not being very good compared to some of the people around me.
And then what went through your mind? Like, especially that's a very critical stage.
Yeah, exactly, right at the beginning. So again, it was one of those, and whether it's army, discipline, whatever, but also I was just like, right, I'm not going to give up on this. But again, I really enjoyed it, so I didn't want to give up on it, and it was the only form of fitness I was doing. I wasn't doing any basic weights or anything like that. I was doing Muay Thai, I think 3 times a week, and then obviously kind of upped it as I got more and more into it. But at the beginning stage, it was like 3 times a week, and I was like, this is great because, you know, it gives me something to do. It keeps me fit. I was really happy. I was really enjoying it. The only thing I didn't like about it was the fact that I was doing like a 10-hour shift at work first and then going to Muay Thai, and I was just like, oh.
You're going there, you're already drained.
You're already knackered. Yeah, that's it. So then I was doing that, getting home for like 8:30, 9 o'clock, whatever, quick shower, 9:30, and then in bed for 10 because I was waking up at 6, which is very similar to my life now actually. But, you know, at least now I tend to get a bit of a break in the day. But yeah, at the time, you know, I was slogging it out in construction. Construction probably the least favorite of the jobs I've ever had, to be completely honest. I just don't like the whole idea of, you know, just going to work all day. Then, you know, it's long hours. Yeah, so now I work long hours, but I tend to have the split in the day, you know, which is great. So yeah, that was how training started in New Zealand.
You remember your first fight?
Yeah. I remember being nervous. And then, you know what Tiger Balm is? You know, and it kind of makes your skin tingle. But the second they put that on me, I was like, I'm going to win. Yeah, it was mad. I just felt straight away like a buzz. I was like pacing up and down the room, getting ready for the fight. Just like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to knock him out in the first round. I didn't, but in my head I was going to. And yeah, it was that was a great experience. Of course, I was nervous. I I remember walking out and, you know, seeing everyone there. Like, hey. So my nickname's Leggy because obviously my last name's Legg, and it kind of stuck when I was in the army. So everyone said, Leggy. And I was like, oh my God, I can't not win now. I weighed 76 kilos at that point in my life, which is, wow, yeah, for someone my height, I was super skinny. And I was, looking back on the pictures now, I was like, well, I was probably a bit too skinny, but you know, I did the weight drop, did what I had to do. And like, I don't regret it all. I felt great getting into the ring, obviously nervous, of course. I remember the first round going like that. And I was thinking, oh my God, all this fitness, all this training's paid off. Like, I feel amazing. Went into the second round. By the time the second round got, I was like, that's the hardest thing I've ever done. I was like, how have I gone from first round being absolutely fine, second round, I was like, I don't know if I can go back out in the third. Anyway, of course, I did go back out in the third. And, you know, at that kind of amateur level, the guy was also tired. I was also tired. Okay. So I did end up winning on unanimous decision on points. But yeah, no, great experience. And, you know, it's something that I keep saying to myself, let's do it again. But now I think my focus are on other things in life. But at that time, it was a great experience, you know, and it felt so good to set yourself a goal and complete a goal, you know. I'd spent so long not really having a goal, just kind of living life, which of course I'm very happy that I did. But when I got into Muay Thai in New Zealand, it was like, right, this is it. This is a goal that I need to complete. I've always been kind of the person that likes to, if you enjoy something, then I think you should be good at it. You know, I know it kind of goes hand in hand anyway, because obviously, you know, the more you enjoy it, the more you train on it, right? You tend not to do things you don't like. So I was like, right, if I'm gonna do Muay Thai, I need to have a fight, and I need to win at least the fight, you know. So that happened.
So how many fights did you have?
Yeah, just the one in New Zealand, to be honest. I came
Okay.
I came very close to having one over here as well. But unfortunately COVID came and it kind of never really happened. And then my focuses went in a different direction. Yeah. So so kind of back to the story after.
So from New Zealand.
Yeah, New Zealand, South America, completed, great time. Then to Spain, and I really kind of buckled down. I was in a bit of a strange place in my life in Spain, to be honest, because I'd spent all this time working and whatever, and I felt like, and I'd travel the world and whatever, and I kind of felt like I'd taken a small step back in life because I was back in my hometown. And even though it was great to see everyone and whatever, I was there for 3 months. And there wasn't really much work on. I was a bit like, I was trying to do this PT qualification like as fast as I could.
What was it like going back like after so long?
Yeah, it was good.
Was it the same city you grew up?
The same city that I grew up in. And everything was the same, which was the con, if anything, because I'd noticed how much I'd moved on in my life, and unfortunately how much kind of my friends that were there hadn't really moved on. And this isn't by any means a dig at them, but when
exposure.
It is, exactly, when you live in the same place and you see the same people, the more that I've kind of learned from life is networking is insanely important. And when you see the same people, you don't really do too much. You tend not to push yourself out of your comfort zones, right? So I was there for 3 months, and by the time the 3 months had gone, I was super ready to move to Dubai. My friend Jamie that still lives here, he was the one that played the major role.
Wait, why did you decide to get into personal training?
Yeah, I mean, it was something that I'd always had a passion for. So obviously from being in the army, I always had that passion for fitness, even though, of course, when I traveled, it dropped off. I still was very much like I like fitness, and this is something I could see myself doing. And then when I got into Muay Thai in New Zealand, I was like...
that's like now you're looking for efficiency and performance and... Exactly.
So I just wanted to... I just wanted to find a career that I enjoyed, and I was like, right, I'll take a go on this personal training thing. So, yeah, did the personal training course, and then my friend Jamie gave me a ring, and he was like, so what are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm kind of thinking about coming to Dubai and this and the other. He was like, do it, you need to do it, like boom boom. So I was like, right, okay. He was like, I'll help you out with like a place and stuff like that. So I got extremely lucky that by the time that my course was essentially finished in Spain, I'd moved to Dubai into a 4-bedroom villa in Al Barsha with a private swimming pool. So straight away, the moment I landed in Dubai, Jamie had been working hard over here at this point, and he'd managed to afford and get himself a Range Rover, which was amazing, and it was just kind of like like straight away I was like, oh my god, look how far he's come since I've last seen him properly. So I was like, this is amazing. And I was like, Dubai must be the place for this. So I was like, right, okay. I was like, I'm done with, as I said, I think I was about 25, 26. I was like, I've had a great life so far, but now is the time to
step up.
Yeah, like let's see how far you can go in life. So I was like, right, let's do it. Moved in, so that there was 4 of us living in this 4-bedroom villa. Jamie, myself, Danny and Josh worked in fitness. So straight away he was like, I can probably get you a job. So everything just kind of fell into place. And after being in a tricky couple of months in Spain where I felt like my life really wasn't moving anywhere, I felt like Dubai straight away. I was just like, wow, just like fell on my feet. Everything was great. Thanks to people around me, to be fair. So they helped me out. I got a job working in Tribe Fit. I don't know if you've ever heard of Tribe Fit. It's no longer here, but it was right next to the Marina Mall. And it was very much just like a standard kind of PT gym. So you could either go in there and obviously have a normal membership, or you could do kind of like a PT membership, but you couldn't bring external PTs in. Right. So I got a job in there. That was kind of my first paycheck here in Dubai. Obviously I had no clients, working kind of crazy hours, a bit stressing, trying to build, but I was super motivated at the time. I remember I was waking up every morning like super, just jumping out of bed, just still kind of like happy to be here and just really wanting to do well. So yeah, I was with Tribe Fit for 6 months, and in that 6 months I obviously started meeting other personal trainers that, when you first finish your PT course, you might be a bit overconfident in the respective that you think you know more than probably what you do. And I've only kind of realized that now, looking back and speaking to people in the fitness industry, and all of them kind of say the same, you know.
When they start.
Yeah, exactly. When you start getting a few more years into it, you actually start looking back and thinking, oh, I thought I knew a lot at the time, but, you know, it kind of turns out that you don't really know as much as you think you might. So there's a great learning curve for me. I picked up some information, started getting into Muay Thai again, quite serious, really training quite hard with a guy called Amin Yousfi. And I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's competed a lot over here. He's now opened his own gyms, but at this point he hadn't. So I was working with him, and he really taught me a lot. He has quite a rough way of teaching, let's say, but you know, sometimes it's the best way to learn, right? So I worked with him, trained with him loads, built up quite a good friendship with him. And then all of a sudden COVID came, and I went from trying to build a little bit of finances and try and get everything together to obviously having a complete lockdown.
Yeah.
Complete lockdown came, and then after they kind of started easing the regulations, I had 2 loyal clients that one of them I still train now, and they were coming to my house separately. So at least I had still since then. So that's, nice. I think I've been training with her I've been in Dubai for nearly 4 years, and I must have been training with her for 3.5. So yeah, still training with her. And yes, they were coming to the house. I had 2 girls, Tyler and Rachel. They would come on opposite days. So at least I was then getting like a little bit of income again. I was like, great, okay, at least I can, kind of afford to live, eat, all that sort of stuff. And then obviously, the more and more they relaxed the rules, I started getting into a conversation with a gym called KO8 Fitness Center, which I don't know if you've heard of, quite a small boutique studio, or it's actually expanding quite quickly now. So yeah, I got in contact with them, and started taking classes slowly. But interestingly, how I got in contact with them was through a friend that worked in New Zealand, that I met in New Zealand. So it just goes to show that networking really is everything. So his cousin lived here, a guy called Mike Poole, who again ended up being a bit of a mentor to me, teaching me quite a few things. Nice. So he was the gym manager at the time, as I said, got in contact with him through his cousin, and met him in person, and he was like, right, okay, like where are you in your PT journey? Where do you want to be? And I was like, I just need to work. I just need to learn. I just need to work hard. And he was like, great. He was like, if you promise to work hard, I can teach you. I was like, cool, let's do it. So yeah, I was with him for about 5 months, and then fortunately he moved to Qatar, I believe, or Kuwait one at Qatar, I think it was. So he moved to Qatar, and we had another fitness manager come in. Also a really great guy, came from Liverpool, which is where KO8 is from. Still really good friends with him. So he kind of came in and took KO8 to the next level. COVID fully dropped off. People were back to going to gym memberships, and it was great to see the gym thriving again. And then, I was just there working, learning. I'd kind of got to the stage where Amin now had the Muay Thai coach had kind of started moving away to his own thing. And I was like, right, am I going to compete in Muay Thai? Am I going to take this seriously, or am I going to focus on trying to build my career and stuff? And I was like, right, I think I need to make that decision. That I think at this point I was 28. I was like, probably not going to go too far in Muay Thai now. Even though I still love training that, I was like, right, let's focus on building a career. So then,
how do you make that decision? Because it might seem easy to others, but
sometimes I guess it can be difficult.
It could be one of the most difficult decisions to make, especially when you're very passionate about it and you enjoy it.
I just realized how tired I was, and I also one of the other girls that trains in the gym, she is a UAE amateur champion. She actually fights out of Muay Thai Muppets. I don't know if you've heard of them, but yeah, she's still competing, and she's now the head Muay Thai coach there. But I actually kind of watched how fatigued she was getting ready for fights and stuff. And she was like, Leggy, like I've had to cancel my clients today. I've had to cancel, like, I'm just so hungry. I'm so tired. And I was like, right, the reason why you came over here was to try and build up a bit of a financial future. And I was like, as much as I did love Muay Thai, I was like, right, and if I want to try and essentially make more money, maybe it's better that I just concentrate on my career.
Right.
Yeah, so I made that decision. And then everything was kind of just ticking along at KO8. I had PT clients, started working with Techno Gym quite a lot, which is great. Obviously a massive company with an incredible reputation. So I still work with them now. I still got very good terms with Techno Gym. So I just do freelance and work with them essentially. And then, I was taking classes at KO8. I was really enjoying it. And I still obviously got a lot of respect for KO8. And then about a year and a half ago, the fitness manager at the time had to go back to Liverpool because his wife was pregnant. So I was like, okay, great. They were like, right, do you want to move into the position? Obviously, KO8 the best out of kind of everyone. I was like, great, this is kind of the moment I've been waiting for. So I was like, right, yes, please, let's go. So moved into the fitness manager. So I'm still the fitness manager at KO8. Still take classes there. Still work with Techno Gym, which is obviously a great source of external revenue. Still do PTs. And then this year, every year I write my goals. And then last year, as I was writing them, I was like, okay, I need to make the branch into online coaching. So I thought I'd do it a little bit sooner, to be honest. But
why did you want to branch out to?
Just because I thought to myself, if I go to work 10 hours a day and say I do 10 hours of PT, which is outrageously difficult because it's a lot of PTs to do. I was like, even if I do that, I'm still capped. Even if you charge an amazing hourly rate, you're still capped. So how can I do this without being capped? And then obviously, you start seeing it all on Instagram and So then I was like, right, maybe I should branch into online coaching. One thing that is one of my weaknesses is marketing and kind of just videography, that sort of stuff. So I was like, right, okay, that's something I need to work on a little bit. So slowly, I just started building up, working on it a little bit. It's still by no means perfect. Still got a lot of areas to work in. And then I thought to myself, right, if I'm going to do this, and I've invested in so many random things here and there, and I was like, but I've never really invested in myself. So I was like, okay, let's hire a mentor. So I hired a mentor, just like an online guy. He's great. He's obviously been through everything before, and he's kind of showed me how to go through the formats, and he's given me loads of templates and stuff for online coaching, which is great because sometimes you need that push, and sometimes if you don't pay for it, you kind of take things for granted sometimes. So the fact that I spent a fair amount of money on it, it was a bit of an eye opener of like, well, if you don't work hard, it's you that's lost out. It's you that's failed. It's no one else's fault. So I was like, right, here we go. Let's get into it. So I started taking that quite serious September time. That's when I paid the gentleman, and he kind of went through it. And I've almost made my money back. I'm very like 95% of the way there. So once I hit a milestone of having him paid off, that's already like an achievement. Yeah, and then anything else after that's profit. So yeah, it's something that I'm really excited to do. I've got some friends of it from UK. I've got some friends from Bahrain on it. I've got some friends from the States on it. I've got kind of like a mixture of people on my training programs, and they're really enjoying it. They're making great progress, which is great for me to see as well, because not only are they feeling good and looking good, it's also a win-win for everyone. It's great. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been focusing a lot on at the moment. And it's really good. It's hard work. Some things I don't like doing on it, I've got to be honest, is like the outreach messages, the lead generation. It's difficult. It's tedious. But the discipline again has got to come in. You've got to keep doing it. You've got to keep working hard on it.
What are the thoughts that you feel kind of create resistance, and then how do you
get past it? I guess to some extent the fear of being rejected is always an element, right? And I'm sure you've seen these posts. They always talk about it like, the fear of rejection. Once you overcome that fear of getting rejected, you kind of get to the stage of whatever, like, okay, so say if I DM someone and kind of give them a sales approach, it's not always something I want to do, and it's 90% of the time, 99% of the time that they don't really want to receive it either, but that 1% that do it is a potential lead, right? So that's the bit, and a lot of people don't get back to you, and that's where it gets tedious. And some people do, and the people that do have never once been disrespectful or anything like that. So I think a lot of people are aware that it's
about finding the niche.
Yeah, exactly. It's about finding the niche, and people are aware that it's just work, it's just sales, it's just it's the same as in every line of work. There's sales, right? You have to, especially if you're trying to succeed in entrepreneurity, and if you're self-employed, you have to force the sale sometimes, and it's not the most enjoyable thing, but it's the discipline of, right, I have to do this, because all it takes is one person to say yes, and then that's kind of where you want to be. You're helping them, they're helping you, and it's a win-win situation.
I think I like the way you described it, that the 1% that accepts, let's say, or says yes, right? Most average mindsets don't appreciate the 1%.
Yeah.
That, like, if it's just 1%, it's not worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I'm sure you did not have this mindset before, and you learned to appreciate.
Yeah.
The 1% goes a long way.
100%. I mean, if we're looking at 1% in the grand scheme of things, if you look at, send out 1,000 messages and get 10. I know it sounds like a small amount, but then you've got 10 paying clients. Then you're helping 10 people, and then you're like, hang on a minute. If you can send out 1,000 DMs a month, and to be honest with you, I don't send out that many, but if you send out 1,000 messages, and if you can sign 10 clients a month, it's quite a lot of clients to sign in 1 month. Imagine if you keep repeating, So
and then there's the compound effect.
Exactly, and that's exactly it. And these guys are with me. I have a 3-month program. So, I don't make them obviously pay up front or anything like that, a little payment plan, So then, next thing you know, it's like collected / coming in, and then you have more people coming in, and it really, exactly as you're saying, the snowball effect, the compound effect. Next thing you know, it's really starts to gain momentum. It's the same as PTs. It's the same as when you get the phone calls from Etisalat and whatever, and you're like, oh, great, I don't really want to speak to this person, only trying to sell me. And they're in the same boat as essentially I am, they're only doing their job. But for every time that someone hangs up on them, for every time that one person says yes, it's money generated, right? It's overcoming that difficult conversation, and it really does build up.
How do you see the 1% also coming in terms of training?
Yeah, so most of my clients, the first of my...
I want to dive into this from two perspectives. One as an athlete or as a fighter, and one as just one of your PT clients.
Yes, exactly. So the programs I've designed at the moment, I don't have anything for athletes and fighters at the moment. What I've got is 2 pretty much, which is weight loss, and the next one which is muscle gain, essentially. So if I look at my body type, naturally I don't really gain fat too much, but also I struggle to retain muscle. So I've kind of written up a plan for that, because as I said, when I was training in New Zealand, I was 76 kilo. I'm now around the 80, 86 kind of thing, around that sort of area. Obviously it fluctuates.
And that's a big achievement for a person who
struggles to retain muscle, right? Yeah. So that's it. So I've kind of built up a lesson plan.
I have a similar.
Yeah, exactly. Where you naturally got a fast kind of metabolic system. Yeah, exactly. So I've kind of got a course for strength and conditioning, or strength and weight gain, and I've also got kind of the opposite, which is weight loss. My idea behind this was, one, I have quite a lot of experience in this, especially with clients and being through it personally. And it is probably the most common factors, right, generally speaking. So I was like, right, okay, let me build these courses. Let me kind of put my knowledge into them, which I know I've done for myself and for other people. And that was where I was like, right, let's get these ones done first. Try and build up a niche, as we were saying, because if you're trying to hit different audiences, sometimes it doesn't work for you, trying to be the jack of all trades, as they say.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you just need to be the master of one, right? So yeah, that's kind of how the online coaching is going. I'm still quite new to it. I've been obviously making nutrition plans, and kind of I've already got a little bit of experience with stuff like that. So, I've been sending them out, and it's great to see how much progress it's making. Again, things don't happen overnight, but if you can get more and more clients, as you're saying, that snowball effect, if clients stay with you and they're happy with their results, then it really is a win-win situation, because they're getting the benefit that they want, and you're getting the things that help you pay your rent and essentially build your life, right? It's the idea.
And in terms of once in the early sessions, you can tell your client's mindset.
Yes.
their level.
Yes.
How do you tell the ones which, all right, this one will make a lot of progress. This one,
it's going to be
not
difficult.
much. Yeah, it'll be difficult.
I think a
How
lot
do
of
you
that
tell?
comes down to, so if we're talking an online perspective, then obviously you get your feedback forms and stuff like that. And it is.
From the answers, you can tell.
Yeah, that's it. Just from kind of checking their progress.
Right.
I mean, if they're going up in weight and going up in weight in the respective of the resistance, the bench press, whatever, the squat rack, whatever, then of course they're making progress. If they're just kind of maintaining that weight, then something's not happening. They're either not sticking into their nutrition plan, or they're not being completely honest about what they're doing in the gym, things like that. When it happens in a face-to-face perspective, then I think it comes down to people skills and kind of acquiring things that you've learned along the way and stuff. So I have a couple of clients that are just like really go-getters non-stop, like no matter how hard you push them, even if they're not particularly fit, they have that mindset of, right, I'm not going to give up. And then I have a couple of clients that are complete opposite. Like they don't really want to be there. They're just kind of like, I'm working out because I know it's good for me, but I don't enjoy it. So then you've kind of got to be like, right, well, how can I make this, one, enjoyable for them, and two, obviously keep them motivated, really. So that's kind of like a struggle you can come across, but you just have to.
It's interesting that you focus on making it enjoyable for them.
Yeah,
it's not like you come and be like, okay, I need to strengthen this person's mindset.
Yeah.
But rather you focus on making it
enjoyable. Yeah, I mean, just going back to the conversation we kind of spoke about earlier, where if you enjoy something, you're naturally quite good at it, right? Generally speaking. So I took this one lady on, and she'd never boxed before, but she knew she'd wanted to, kind of thing. So I was like, right, getting her on the pads, and she really, really got into it. So I was like, right, great. If I make her, she wanted to lose a bit of weight as well. And I was like, right, great. If I do a lot of pad sessions with a lot of kind of high intensity and push her, she's of course going to lose weight because obviously you're working out, right? But also she's enjoying it, so she's going to stay consistent. Because there's nothing worse than, you want to lose weight or whatever, but someone's making you just do 100 burpees or whatever it is. If you don't like burpees, or if you don't like this, if you don't like that, and all you're getting told is to do that, there's, as the saying goes, there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? So if you're given something that they're enjoying, they're more likely to be consistent with it. Definitely if there's a weakness in the respective of kind of going into the body shape. Now, if someone's doing something wrong, or if someone's got weak glutes, or if someone's got underactive quads, or whatever it may be, of course, identifying the problem and kind of working on that problem is something that has to be done, but also trying to make it as enjoyable as possible. If you have someone that, let's say, hates deadlifts but needs to work on deadlifts, then you do a couple of rounds, you move away to something more they enjoy, and then you go back again and revisit it.
And do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Eventually,
exactly. And then they start progressing, and that's kind of my style of coaching, is making sure it's enjoyable but also beneficial.
And when you train, how important do you feel is adaptability?
Yeah, so I train quite a lot, and I've trained for a bit of everything over the years. I've done some heavyweights, and then, as you know, I've done quite a bit of Muay Thai boxing. At the moment, I'm starting to do a little bit of high rocks. I don't know if you know what high rocks is. It's like, have you seen it? Yeah, it's wow, it's tough.
It's intense.
It is intense. I must be honest. I haven't competed or anything in the high rocks. I think they've only had one competition here in Dubai. But the guy that owns the gym that I work in, at KO8, he's a bit of an animal. I've got to be fair to him. He's in his age category, he's the fastest in the UAE. Wow. And I think he lost out by something like 6 seconds or something like that to someone. And it's because he pretty much counted that he'd done 50 reps or something, but he only did 49. And then obviously the rep counter was like, come back, you got to do one more. Again, you can always say, would he have... I don't know. So maybe he's the fastest in the UAE. He doesn't try to claim it or anything like that. He's like, right, I'm second, but next time I'll be first, kind of thing. So yeah, he's really kind of enforcing it, and KO8 are massive on it at the moment. But we've started doing this transformation course essentially, which is 8 weeks. and it's high rock specific as well as obviously nutrition. Nutrition's imperative, as we can dive into that in a minute. But we're seeing some insanely great results from this. Just high rocks 3 days a week, and then them doing their own training on themselves. So we've got my group.
So what is the breakdown of the workout?
Yeah, so the breakdown of the workout it kind of varies, but the actual competition is something like 1,000 meters on the ski erg, then a 1 kilometer run. Then you come back and then you've got the rower, 1,000 meters, then a 1 kilometer run. So there's 8 exercises, and every time in between there's a 1 kilometer run. As I said, I actually haven't competed in it, so I'm by no means a specialist. But watching the transformations that were happening. So we've got like a group of lads, all like between mid 20s to mid 30s, all real estate guys, so all know each other quite well, so that the banter's there, but of course they have a relatively unhealthy lifestyle, generally speaking. So we've got them in on this course, 8 weeks of hard work, and yeah, they're getting great results. So we've done a competition, or an assessment, sorry, not a competition. So that on the very first day they get weighed in, checking obviously body weight, BMR, all the sort of stuff, water weight, muscle, all that. And then they do a fitness test, and then we're now on week 5. So on week 4, which is obviously the halfway mark, we made them redo the fitness test, and these guys are knocking like 3 minutes off their time. So on the first time, it took them about 21. I think the fastest time was like 17. So that's roughly how long the fitness test that we've kind of made is. And taking away 3 minutes off of that is, I don't know, 15, 20%ish. So it's quite a large sum really of what they're doing. So it's great to see how well they're coming on. That would be, so I've started incorporating some of that into my training. And yeah, it's good. The only thing is I've noticed how quickly I lose weight when I'm doing it, and I'm a bit like, right, I need to try and maintain a bit of muscle mass here because, so it is great for people trying to lose weight, but just to try and maintain it and keep that muscular endurance, I need to make sure that I'm getting my strength workout in as well.
Yeah, that would be my next, not right now. Right now, just I need endurance. You've done, you've done the grit and tonic.
Yes, I have.
Which one of the categories?
So I did the sprint one.
The sprint.
Again, kind of random, very similar to how your situation coming about with doing the Ironman. I was just kind of, it was in March when I did it, and someone I knew signed up for it and was like, right, I'm going to do it. I was like, oh, okay. He told me about 4 months before, and I was like, yeah, whatever, bypass. And then like 2 weeks later, he messaged me. 2 weeks before the race, he messaged me, or it might have been 3 to be fair. He was like, it's in 3 weeks, are you in? And I'd just finished doing like an 8-week strength course. So I was quite big, but I hadn't done any cardio whatsoever. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it, mate. Yeah, so I was like, right, okay. One thing that I've naturally been quite good at is I'm actually quite good at swimming. I know most people tend to have that as a weakness, generally speaking, but cycling was my weakness, and I'd never really done it before. So I was like, right, okay, back in the water, started swimming.
For those 2 weeks?
Yeah, exactly, only 2 weeks. So again, I kind of got into it quite quickly. And
how many swimming sessions do you think you squeezed in?
I think I probably did about 4 or 5 in that 2 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah, but I knew swimming was going to be my strong suit. I knew that was where I was going to be okay. The cycling, however, I knew was going to be like my weak point, just because I'd never really done it. It never really interested me, to be honest, just to be one of these people that wakes up and goes cycling. But now, actually, after training it, I can actually see the enjoyment, to be honest. So I was like, right, okay, who do I know that's got a bike? One of my clients, the same one that came to me in COVID, Rachel, who I still train now, she gave me her bike, which was quite small for me. But I was practicing on that. And then, the race came, and I obviously I did some runs and stuff as well. The race came, and the category
How many bike sessions did you have?
I probably did about 6 or 7. Yeah, probably about 6 or 7. Yeah,
almost alternating days, basically.
Yeah, it was the one I knew I needed to work the most. Yeah, so it was, some days I was even doing it like, say in a week I was doing it maybe 4 times, and then obviously on the next one maybe 3. Yeah.
How fast?
Yeah, so in the race it was supposed to be 20 kilometers.
Yeah.
But it actually ended up being 24 on the day. So I was practicing just 20Ks, 20Ks, just because I was like, if this is what I've got to do, I might as well just kind of nail this one. I still would. I needed more sessions on the bike. When I actually got into the race, that was probably my weak point. But again, I'm not making any excuses whatsoever. But I should have had a bike that was my size. I should have had a newer bike, a better bike. You know, she had one of the, like, it is a racing bike, but old, small. I should have just done what the other lads did and just rent one for a day. But you know, I was like, no, it's fine. So yeah, came to race day, and again my fiance's there, my biggest supporter by far. She's there. We drive down together, and it's me and two friends essentially doing it. So we're like, all right, great, let's get into it. We did the sprint, which is 750 meter swim, 24k. But I think it's supposed to be 20, but on the day it was 24k cycle.
The 5k run. Yeah,
5k run exactly. And I mean, I'm okay at running, but again, since I kind of left the army, I never bothered with it. I just Muay Thai, that was the only kind of cardio I did. So I got in there, and you know, it obviously it tracks your scores, right? So when you go through the different polls and whatever, and obviously I didn't know at the time, but when I look back at it on the race, my swim was something like 5 minutes, like under par. So I was ahead of schedule essentially. I got on the bike, and I think the bike took me something like 43 minutes, which yeah, it should have been minimum 5, probably 7 minutes quicker. But I thought I was going quite well, to be honest, when I was on the bike. But obviously all these other guys they were just flying past me. I didn't do much overtaking, and there's a lot more other people overtaking me. So if I was to go back again, I'd practice more on cycling, 2 get a better bike. And then it came to the run. And by the time I started running, I did the run, I think, in about 24 minutes for 5 kilometers, which is slow. It's not. I mean, it's under 5 kilometers.
It's not bad.
Yeah, I should have done a bit better, but I came off and straight away, we're talking like cramp on the inside of the leg, cramp on the hamstring. I was just like, wow.
Did you have any hydration in the?
Yeah, I had all the little, the little sachets. Yeah, but you know they.
Didn't help?
No. I think when you're in that level of just your body's just like hating you. I don't think they made too much of a difference. Maybe they did. Maybe it's what made me finish.
So you
but
actually
at the same time,
were catching a cramp when you started running.
Yeah, exactly. The second I got into the run, the second I came off the bike, the inside part here of my hamstring, I was like, And by this point, so out of my 3 mates, I'd finished the swim quite far in front of everyone. And then I thought I was in front of the bike. I think it was something like 5 loops or whatever it was. And I was in front. I knew I was in front because no one had overtaken me that I knew. And then somehow my best friend and fiance were stood at the kind of where you do the transition. And I get there, my best friend's like, "You're just behind Ethan." I was like, "What do you mean I'm just behind Ethan?" He's like, "Yeah, he literally just overtook you. He's like 20 seconds in front of you." I said, he's like, "Yeah, you know, on that," he was saying, like, on that roundabout on the corner, like as I'm changing my trainers or whatever, he was like, "On that roundabout on the corner," or I can't remember what I was doing, but saving, changing around or whatever. He was like, "Yeah, he did you then?" I was like, "Right, I'm going to catch him on the run." Straight away, cramp. I was like, "No way." I was like, all I've got to do now is just keep going. But that was the friend that messaged me 4 months before saying, "Let's do the triathlon." So he'd been training a little bit. But yeah, no, a great experience. And I think that sort of distance perfect for someone that's never done it before. I think someone that's kind of just easing into it, someone that's kind of doing it a little bit last minute, someone that wants to try something that, of course, it's difficult, but you're looking at doing it in about an hour and a half, generally speaking. You know, it's not like a full triathlon or, as you know yourself, an Ironman, where it's very.
For me, it was a PR just to do that distance. I mean, I told you, like, I'm very, very new to endurance training.
Yeah.
So my first aquathlon was in August, coming out of like 2 weeks of fever.
Oh, okay.
Just went straight, and I couldn't swim freestyle.
Yeah.
So a night before, I haven't swum breaststroke. Mm-hmm. God knows how many years.
Yeah.
I just YouTube it the day before, and
technique. Yeah.
And there were options to go for the short and the long, and I was like,
Long.
Oh
no.
So yeah, I did the breaststroke. I was definitely the last from the swimmers.
Yeah.
But I was just trying to finish it was 850
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
meter swim.
Yeah.
You know when they're just explaining the buoy or the corn, in the water.
Yeah.
You have one here, one there, and coming back.
Yes.
Like a triangle.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Just the first one looked so.
Yeah. It's like I'm not doing this. Yeah.
And I was like, hey, and I was listening to a lot of Ross Edgley. I don't know if you've heard Ross Edgley.
No.
His swim around the UK.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, let that sink in.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
So, and he, his book, The Art of Resilience, he speaks about his journey. It's more on sports science / stoicism.
Okay.
And how to be able to do this, you need both.
Yeah.
Of course. Some parts are not very sports science, and some, just pure stoicism and throwing your emotions out the window.
Just discipline and
pushing
really
through. So I was just in my head, I was like, it's just the journey. I'm just traveling. I was just to get through.
Yeah,
And then on the run, of course, I passed quite a few people, but your legs are not fresh because
not at all,
you're doing breaststroke.
100%, yeah.
So even when now the next one did the sprint, the distance we already ran through them. Same thing. I did breaststroke, but at this point, my breaststroke improved.
Okay.
Because I took even a class with my swimming instructor, and I told her I have I think only next week where the competition is. And I told her that freestyle, I'm still drinking a lot of water when so I won't last long. 200 meters, I'll be done.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay, let's just stick to your breaststroke. And after the session, she said, honestly, when I first saw your breaststroke, I didn't know where to start. But she said after the session, I didn't expect that you would
make so much progress.
Nice. So yeah, I went into the sprint breaststroke, and I was finishing with a lot of people who were, doing freestyle.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Yeah. But when I got on the bike, for some reason, I'm not going as fast as I usually do when I'm just cycling by myself.
Okay.
And it's, again, your legs are not fresh.
Yeah. Of course.
You finish the bike, you get on the run, and you feel so much resistance.
And just
around the psoas muscle, until it opens up, maybe after 2K or something. That's when you can start opening up. But it's 5K anyways, so there's not so much you can.
So you can do, yeah.
But I was not nowhere close to the top, just an average. But so we're building step by step.
Yeah, that's it, mate. It's the only way to build.
One of my biggest takeaways since I started this endurance training is adaptability.
Yeah.
If I had the goal to do, let's say, the Ironman in 2 years, I wouldn't feel the importance of adaptability much because I can just stick to one way of training or one way of, whatever I'm being taught, and just stick to it. And I have all the time to make it work in that same exact way.
Yeah.
But when you have a big goal to achieve in a short period of time, you have no choice but to adapt. Because they're like, okay, if I'm not going to do this, I'm going to do the breaststroke. If I'm not going to do the breaststroke,
Yeah, you got to find another way to do it.
Find another way, but we're doing it.
Yeah.
And also the 1%. The 1%, when you're doing endurance or anything long distance, 1% counts. Either to your advantage or to your disadvantage. Whether it's certain weight, running with a bottle.
Yeah. It adds up.
It adds up. So where I think I didn't value the 1% before at all. If 1%, I'll be like, it's nothing. It's not worth.
Yes.
1% is a lot because
Adds up over time for sure.
yeah, like when I used to do my swimming classes, I would train and not see any progress. And that's like, one of the most difficult thing. You put in effort and you see nothing.
It's
and you just have to tell yourself like,
slowly.
we're doing this Ironman, we're doing it. So we're going to show up the next day.
Yeah, it's the only thing
with
you can
same
do.
enthusiasm. And you just find a way to convince yourself that you're making progress even though you're not seeing it. And just saying, okay, I'm sure at least my lungs are expanding from how much water I'm drinking.
Staying hydrated. Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of salty water. But yeah, I don't know what is the best way of making, let's say, your clients appreciate 1% progress. Like,
yeah, I think
I'm sure as an athlete, for Muay Thai, you understand that, especially when you're training hard.
Yeah.
That 1%
is a lot. Yeah, again, I think you just have to kind of remind them, and just kind of keep on top of them, and just sort of even you can compare to what they were like and things like that, because sometimes it is hard and you feel like you're just kind of not really going anywhere and you're just kind of floating.
Yeah.
But progress is progress, no matter how quick or how slow it comes. It's just consistency and turning up on the days when you don't want to. Even now I have days where I normally try and work out in the kind of mid-morning time after my clients, but sometimes I'm tired, whatever, so I don't. And then the afternoon comes and I'm just like, do you know what? I could quite easily not work out today. And it's like, but how much better are you going to feel afterwards? That's one of the main things. So it just comes down to that discipline, and it really does. And I think so many things in life really just comes down to that discipline.
How do you define mental toughness?
Good question. In what respect of mental toughness?
To you, what does it mean to you?
Mental toughness is, if something's... Sometimes I have a little saying that something is better than nothing. So even if you're going to go to the gym for 20 minutes, and especially if you're someone that doesn't really go to the gym, like let's say your average person, a client of mine or whatever, that's struggling a little bit with weight loss, generally just, there's quite a normal basic type of client, right? I just try and say to them that even if you really don't want to, just by going down there, getting out of your house, getting out of your comfort zone, because this whole working from home stuff, it is good in many ways. I also think it's bad in many ways. But say people working from home, let's just say you're a lawyer or whatever, they're working, and then they kind of forget to go to the gym. And this happens to me sometimes, even when I'm working from home, doing gym stuff, when I'm doing P&Ls, whether I'm doing whatever, gym admin stuff. You kind of get to that zone where you're frustrated with work, you don't want to go to the gym. You're just in a kind of, I don't think the blue screen helps this too much either, to be honest. You're just kind of sitting there just like, not in a great mood, kind of, I don't want to go to the gym. But if you actually just say, right, I'm going to the gym, 20 minutes, you can do the exercises you enjoy, at least you're going to the gym, jump in the swimming pool quickly. Obviously, we have that privilege, lucky enough, over here in Dubai, that most of our apartment buildings, you can go to the gym, jump in the swimming pool, and you just come out of the swimming pool and you're just like, wow, I'm a new person, and that took 30 minutes. And you go back and you're probably more productive at work than you would have been if you were just sitting there. That's one thing that I've really found, and I'm quite lucky that obviously I do have that discipline. But my fiance works from home quite a lot, and I can see her when she's getting into this agitated kind of mindset where, to be honest, she has an extremely good workout ethic. I actually met her at the gym, ironically enough. So she's super on it. She's an early morning workout person, then goes home and works from home predominantly. She does go to the office obviously sometimes, but I can see in her sometimes, even if she's worked out in the morning, say she gets on the computer at 9, by 3 p.m. she's just like, just been staring at the same screen. I just think to herself, like, if she was to get up and go for a 5-10 minute walk outside just to get some natural sunlight, she'd probably come back with a different mindset. But then trying to say that, especially when it's your fiance, sometimes it doesn't go down so well. Yeah. Sometimes I'm just like, how can I bring this up without, I just open the curtain slightly and just be like, look, it's a nice day outside. Yeah. Yeah, because next thing you know, it's all your fault that they're busy at work, and you know how these things go, right?
It's different. You can give all the advice to your client, but when it comes to your family or your loved ones,
yeah, because you have a different relationship, right?
Yeah, completely. It's like, no, don't come and coach me now.
Yeah, exactly. Because and I think a lot of that is the difference between paying someone and not paying someone. I really do. If you get things for free, sorry, you really take them for granted. Sometimes it is so easily to be done, but once you start paying someone, that's when you start thinking like, I better had listened, because I'm paying for this. Yeah, exactly. And that's when you see results. That's one thing that I've kind of probably only learned in the last 6 months to year or so, that it really does make a difference. Actually, having someone that's kind of there for you, keeping your accountability is massive, right? And yeah, obviously trying to say this to your family, to your loved ones, or whatever. It's not always easy.
In terms of nutrition, like, how did I'm sure you went your own journey.
Yeah,
I'm sure you went through different types of
3 stages. Yeah,
different stages.
Definitely. Just reverting back to obviously when I said I was 76 kilo, or just under 76 kilo when I fought in New Zealand. And obviously I was training like crazy. So I had to try and make sure I was eating okay, but enough to be able to drop weight as well, but also enough to have energy. At that point, I didn't really know much about nutrition in my life. It was only kind of when I moved to Dubai and started, really focusing on my work and doing courses and doing diplomas and doing this, that, and the other. That's where I really obviously upskilled. So generally speaking, to lose weight, you can't lose weight if you're eating more than you're burning. It's physically impossible. It's no matter what you're eating, you could eat all the healthy stuff in the world, but if you're eating more than you're burning, you can't lose weight. It's a fact. So what I try and say to my clients, obviously, if they're looking to lose weight, is generally about 300 to 500 calorie kind of deficit is generally what we're looking to do. And then exactly the same if you're going on the other side, kind of like a surplus, if you wanted to build muscle, which is what I had to do. I'm quite lucky that I have quite a big appetite anyway. So I eat 5 meals a day. My first meal's at generally about 5:30 if I start work at 6. If I'm lucky enough to start work at 7, then my meal's obviously at 6:30, but generally at the moment I start work at 6. So first thing I do is wake up, eat 5:30, and then around about 10 o'clock I'll have my breakfast part 2, I call it, and then I'll have lunch part 1 at around 1, 2ish, then again at about 4, and then I'll eat again properly at around about, it can be as late as 8:30, 9 o'clock, which isn't great for your sleep pattern, to be honest, but it's just kind of the way it works for me with work, unfortunately. I very recently got this little ring, actually, and I never wear jewellery. It's not really my sort of thing. I don't really wear watches or anything like that. So getting used to wearing something on your fingers, taking some getting used to it. You've probably seen a lot. I'm playing with it. It's because
whenever I did, it always ends up. I end up losing them.
Yeah, you end up losing them. Yeah, exactly. So I'm really trying to stay disciplined with this one. But what this does is it tracks your sleep. It doesn't do your food or anything like that. They've got another one. This is from Ultra Human, a company that were kind enough to supply it to me. So I've been checking my sleep patterns and stuff like that, and it really gives you great feedback. Of course, it just comes to an app on the phone. But one thing it's saying is kind of like you might be eating too late, and that's it's not helping your gut health through your sleep, and therefore it affects your sleep slightly. The only thing I have working in my favor in that respect is after a long day I'm generally pretty tired, so I do just kind of crash out. But yeah, I love the feedback it's given me, to be honest, and it even gives you like a window where it's kind of sunk to my system now. It knows that I wake up at 5. It knows that around about 7 a.m. I'm allowed to have my stimulant, so coffee, let's say. And then at 2 p.m. it's my cut-off time because I go to bed around about 10. So it's that 8-hour window where it's no stimulants. And then every now and then I'll get a message like 2 or 3 hours before I go to bed, and it's like, boom, no more blue screen. I'd love to tell you I completely listen to it, but I don't always. But it really gives you insights that you don't think about, and it's great, and it really is helping. Definitely.
But sleep definitely plays a big role in
recovery and everything.
How you digest.
Yeah.
it's a bad cycle. Once you had a bad sleep, your cortisol level goes up.
Exactly.
You start looking at bread and sweets differently.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
When I used to work in the office here, I don't really have a sweet tooth, and so there'll always be some function or something where we're getting chocolate, and it always goes in my drawer.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I never check it, anything. But if I did not sleep well,
okay,
all of a sudden,
just have the
my unconscious mind started reminding me, in the second drawer you have.
Yeah, that's a little snack.
And that's when I grab it, I'm like, hold up, I didn't sleep well. That's why.
Yeah, that's it. So you're just overcoming that barrier.
It's so, it's so clear when you're aware of this.
Yeah.
It's so clear.
Yeah, no, definitely 100%, and it's so easy to do. Like I have.
So what is in those situations? What is the healthy alternative to maybe keep your energy up? Yeah,
definitely. To keep your energy up, I mean, in a cup of coffee like this, they reckon there's about 2 calories. As long as obviously you're not adding milk in, then it obviously adds in. So if you need a stimulant, if you're crashing, if you've had a bad night's sleep, unfortunately, then coffee can be a good thing to kind of have in that window. Just make sure you're cutting it off in time.
Right.
Because I don't know if you've ever seen like a chart of how coffee works. Essentially, the second you have it, you kind of get like quite a big spike, and then it doesn't just leave your system. Even though you start to come down from it, it kind of stays in your system for hours. It's like a really slow declining slope. So yeah, a lot of people that finish work and train in the evening and have a cup of coffee at 7 p.m. before they train, and then that night they have a dreadful night's sleep. And nowadays with the internet and stuff and whatever, people are becoming quite aware of this sort of stuff. But for a while I was that person as well. I was like, all right, I go to, when I was in New Zealand doing Muay Thai, I need some energy, coffee, and then it's you've really got to be quite strict with your windows if you want to get the benefits of sleeping well. And the benefits of sleep are insane. Even the idea of waking up early, if we date back to kind of like the caveman way of life, this is what we do. We go to bed early, we wake up early. That's how we hunt. That's what we've always done. It's only obviously in this day and age now where over the last, let's say, probably not even 100, say the last 50 years, people have started waking up at 10, 11, 12, and they're up all night watching TV, and it just messes up your body. Generally speaking, I don't think it's too common in adults because, most jobs don't really allow that. And obviously, if you're working in a bar, it's very different. But, there's so much gaming going on at the moment. I'm personally not a very big fan of it. And I think they're staying up all the time, just like blue screen, just staring at it, just affecting their sleep patterns. They wake up the next day like just fatigued. I train a 13-year-old boy on the Palm. Very nice guy, very polite, brought up extremely well. But I've noticed that the changing, and I know he's obviously going into his teenage years, so he's starting to stay up late watching. He just wants to play games with his friends, online gaming. But I just think it's a crazy twist that the world's having, and I don't know how. I don't think it's particularly beneficial for anyone, because I just think you spend 8 hours playing on a game until 3 a.m. You wake up the next day absolutely knackered. I still believe in the good old days. If you wake up early, go and play football, and that sort of activity. I think that's, in my opinion, what's needed for the generation coming forward. But I know gaming's a massive era at the moment.
It is. Again, we're gonna have to learn to adapt.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of those. I mean, the only thing I guess that's a bit of a pro from the gaming is the fact that people are learning more about technology. They're naturally, by the time they go to school, they already know stuff about technology. But for me, it's not the same as being out with your friends, interacting with people, playing football, running around, whatever you're doing. I think that's an essential part of people's childhood.
Being a human.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've had it for millions and millions of years. Now all of a sudden people prefer to be isolated, and of course COVID played a role in this. But children in particular, or teenagers in particular, prefer to be isolated like 8 hours a day just looking at the TV. It's not good for your body. Like the effects as people get older. I mean, we haven't really seen the effects yet because it's such a new kind of thing in this generation. But let's see, you know, how it works. And I actually did know one guy who pretty much played games and games and games, and he ended up getting epilepsy. Arguably, that played a massive role in it. And you know, I lived with this guy in New Zealand actually, Australia actually, and you know, he'd just have these random attacks. I'd be like, like, where did it come from, mate? He was like, I wasn't born with it, you know. It's just from, you know, he was saying that he used to play like the PlayStation 2 or whatever it was back then for like 13 hours a day. I was like, mate. 13 hours a day, is it like, what the hell how do you play games for 13 hours a day?
Yeah, that's addiction.
Yeah, it's scary. Like, if someone wants to play games like an hour a day, yeah, of course, it's no worries. But yeah, when you start like getting it take over your life, like anywhere between 8 to 13 or whatever, even 6 hours a day is like, it's just, I just can't comprehend it. You know, it's a lot to be sitting inside by yourself.
Stewart, we can talk forever. I mean, this has been one of my best conversations.
Nice, I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
We did travel a lot.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, maybe covered a lot of topics.
Maybe in a couple of years we have another session, and God knows what's in your books.
Yeah, nice. I'll try and do the other parts that I've missed.
Thank you so much for today.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you would say, I know we're running out of time, but if you would say, what is one thing that can get somebody to become a high performer, what would you say? What should they focus on?
I think, first of all, I think you got to find out what you want to perform to a high level in. Finding a passion for something, as we said now a couple of times, something that you enjoy, you become good at it because you do it more. So if you want to get into boxing and you like boxing or whatever, or if it's CrossFit, whatever it is, you know, if you're dedicated, discipline, and that's the main thing. You know, there's going to be distractions from time to time. If you're looking to compete in something, you have to really blank out those distractions and just really focus on what you want to do, and just train, discipline, train. Recovery as well is extremely important. We didn't touch too much on recovery today, but you know, you've got to stay disciplined. Make sure you get in the adequate sleep, recovery, and just enjoy what you're doing. Enjoy life. Enjoy training. That's what's got to be done, right?
100%. Thank you,
Nice.
Stewart.
Thanks so much for having me, bro.